Hey everyone, welcome back to Psyched About Life, where we talk about psychology, life, growth, and personal development. Today's video is all about attachment style. Attachment style is so important to figure out and learn about because it is really essentially how we interact with people in our lives, if we choose to grow in a relationship with them, if they're family members, relatives. It's how we pretty much have a relationship with others. And it all stems from our childhood, infancy really, and how present our caregivers were and how well we were when they left us or they left us with strangers, both at the beginning when they drop us off and when they pick us up at the dismissal or whatever you want to call it. So we're really going to start off with, this is going to be an outline, I'll put it in the next slide, an outline of our video. We're going to start off with a little bit of background information on attachment style, the 4 attachment styles, and then we're going to apply it to its significance and adulthood in general. So what is attachment? Attachment is that emotional relationship that involves the exchange of comfort, love, pleasure, care. The roots begin with our dear friend Freud. He always pops up in my videos. Actually, John Bowlby is credited, but Freud talks more about that love and attachment. John Bowlby is really credited with as the father of attachment theory. John Bowlby devoted extensive research to the concept of attachment, describing it as the lasting psychological connectedness between human beings. And he shared his psychoanalytic view of early childhood and how important that time is in our lives for influencing development and behavior later on in life. So there's different characteristics of attachment. There's proximity maintenance, the desire to be near people we are attached to, safe haven, if they are comfort, a figure of safety in the face of a fear or a threat. Secure base, the attachment figure acts as a base of security from which the child can explore the surrounding environment. And another characteristic, last but not least, separation distress, anxiety that occurs in the absence of the attachment figure. And we see that in those 4 attachment styles that we're going to talk about soon. And Bowlby also mentions this idea of confidence. The child develops confidence during the years of early infancy, childhood, and adolescence, and they're raised with confidence that their primary caregiver will be available to them whenever they need them, and they will be of easy access. They are less likely to experience fear than those raised without that confidence, without such conviction. So it really is beneficial to have that confidence in our caregivers, our primary caregivers. So John Bowlby was all about forming that confidence, and then that kind of lasts throughout the lives, and we see that in our relationships, whether it's romantic, friendships, or just close intimacy with someone else. Now, I just want to mention really quickly that although there's 4 attachment styles, or so quote-unquote 4, that were created to help us better understand ourselves and our relationships, we can have multiple attachment styles. We don't necessarily have one and then that's it. Like, oh, I'm avoidant. Oh, I'm insecure attachment, or I'm secure attachment. That's me. No, you can have parts of each because we are complex creatures. We may behave one way and we also may behave another way in another situation. But for the most part, you're going to see several, unless you just have that really secure attachment, then you can say secure, but there's always going to be moments of insecurity and security. Just read it from start to finish and then try to figure out those key aspects. You could have multiple. Okay, so let's start off with the first one, secure attachment. Children who have that secure attachment, typically we see this when they're upset that their caregiver leaves and they're happy when their caregiver returns. It's that being upset from that separation, but then being happy and getting that comfort from their caregiver when they pick them up. Maybe it's school, maybe it's just they leave them with their grandmother for whatever day, or maybe a family friend while they go food shopping, and then when the parent returns, they're able to get that safe haven, that comfort, that proximity from their parent. They feel like their needs are being met from their parent. Studies have shown that attached securely attached children are actually more empathetic during later stages of childhood. So even in childhood, we see later on that they are more empathetic. And they're also less disruptive, less aggressive, and more mature than children that are other attachment styles. Now we're going to go into adulthood with secure attachment, right? So each attachment style, I'll do childhood and adulthood, so that transition. We'll keep it separated and then we'll bring them all together. As adults with secure attachment, they have trusting, lasting relationships. Keyword, lasting. They last. And they have those good qualities because they feel secure in their relationships as adults. They also tend to have good self-esteem. They share feelings with their partners. They're able to express themselves openly. They have that trust. They also seek out support. They're not afraid to ask for help because in childhood they were able to get their needs met and ask for help. It was there. That comfort was there. That reassurance was there. They felt safe in childhood and later in adulthood. Next, ambivalent attachment style. You've heard me say ambivalent, I think, or avoidant. I don't know. I mentioned it earlier, but ambivalent attachment style is different. Children who are ambivalently attached tend to be extremely suspicious of strangers. They display considerable distress when separated from their parent. But they also do not seem reassured when their caregiver returns, right? So they are attached to their parents, but they also don't feel that sense of relief when their parent picks them up. In some cases, the child may even passively reject the parent by refusing comfort and may openly display direct aggression toward the parent. As children, ambivalent attachment style may be wary, I never get that word right, wary of strangers, become greatly distressed when their parents leave, and then they don't appear comforted when their parents returned. Now, as adults, ambivalent attachment, we see it through reluctancy to become close to others, worry that their partner does not love them, need constant reassurance. They don't feel that, like, okay, they love me. I see it. They become very distraught also when the relationship ends. So it's really hard, and it leads to frequent breakups. All of that leads to frequent breakups because the relationship feels cold and distant. They're not able to connect on a deep emotional level. Third one, avoidant attachment style. Children with avoidant attachment style tend to avoid their parents, and these children might not reject attention, but neither do they seek out comfort or contact. Children with avoidant attachment show no preference between the parent or a complete stranger. They show little or no preference. As adults now with avoidant attachment, they may have problems with intimacy, investing little emotion in social and romantic relationships, and they may be unwilling to share their feelings and thoughts with others. And they also experience little distress when the breakup ends. They're kind of like, okay, they don't invest much emotionally and they're fine. Or maybe they might be a little upset, but they get over it quickly, and they also engage in casual sex. We see that as well. Fourth one, disorganized attachment style. Children with disorganized insecure attachment style. So it's usually coined disorganized insecure. It's usually coined together, those two words. They show a lack of clear attachment behavior. Their actions and responses to caregivers are often a mix of behaviors. They may display dazed behavior or sometimes confused in the presence of their caregiver. They show a mixture of that avoidant and resistant behavior. And we see that like as little as infancy to age 1, but also at age 6, right? They're getting a little bit older, but they're still children. They may even take on a parental role. Some children may act as a caregiver towards the parent. And that kind of stems from that inconsistent behavior from the parent. They may not always be there. They may not always give the child what they need. The children both feels comforted and frightened by their parents, and this results in confusion overall. Based on those 4 attachment styles, it's really, there's no question that our earliest relationships with our caregivers play a large role in our relationships later on. Like, we learn so much from modeled behavior, time with our parents. They're the first ones that are there to take care of us, and obviously most of the time they do, or else that's neglect and a different issue. They take care of us, but if there's that inconsistency or that lack of, okay, they're going to be there when I need them, I'm going to be able to open up to them emotionally, they're going to fulfill my needs, not just food and water, but they're going to fulfill my needs emotionally, then that can develop a secure attachment. Now, like I said, you may have secure attachment, but also other tendencies. So sometimes people have multiple attachment styles. So don't get confused with that. I know that's kind of confusing, but like, don't read each one like I am just this. That's kind of my advice to you on that. And I just want to say it's really cool that my other videos talk about shadow work, the id, ego, and superego, because those are other ways of unveiling those inner childhood wounds or inner childhood trauma. I know trauma is a scary word, but it's really just getting to that underneath layer of more of who you are, things that have happened to you. Childhood is such an incredibly fragile moment of our lives. Not moment, but like it's a long period of time where we're kind of forming and taking it all in, right? All that life has to give us. It's really beneficial to go further and take a step further and maybe do more research on attachment styles. And I really think it's important to know about attachment because it'll help us in figuring more out about ourselves, but also how to grow, how to develop further. Because I know that just getting the definition or like, okay, that's what I am, you need to take the next step by maybe going to psychotherapy and seeing which attachment style or styles you resonate with. And it's all about what you resonate with, right? Like, there's not going to be one exact thing for everyone. It's really what resonates with you. And then psychotherapy and doing other things like shadow work and inner childhood wound work and healing and whatever works best for you, meditation, yoga, maybe going, joining like a group or some type of socializing with others that may be experiencing the same thing, because not everyone is open to this or willing to kind of figure this stuff out. So really, if you're interested, I would say psychotherapy and maybe doing some shadow work and other forms of healing. I think that it's really beneficial because, like I said, when you figure out your attachment style and when you figure more out about yourself, because a lot is hidden, it's in the shadow, it's not brought to the light, and it's important for us to bring that to the light so we can have better positive relationships with others, lasting relationships, and decrease all those worries and stress that we're feeling, because that's a killer. Stress is a killer. And, it may not seem like stress, but if you're thinking about it constantly, if you're always getting hurt, it becomes stressful. So it's really good to do all of that work and this might be in a next video, we'll talk about that inner child and why it's so important to do the healing. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope that this video was fun, informative, and that you enjoyed yourself. And I really want to say thank you for coming to my channel and watching my video. Please like, share, subscribe, comment, bibbidi-bobbidi-boo. And yeah, and I will try to get out a video soon. I might do one a week. And yeah, stay tuned for that inner child's work. Bye, have a good day.